Hey folks, how's everybody doing? I am here today because I wanted to do a quick wrap up, hopefully a quick wrap up of our trip to Nashville a weekend, well, 2 weekends ago now. What? Time gets away from you, doesn't it? As you can see down in the lower right there is Cheryl, my beautiful girlfriend of almost 15 years now. She's waving. I don't know if this is going to actually like flip back and forth between us in the video, but hopefully it will.
No,
Or something. I don't know if you're just going to be stuck down there in your little corner or what.
I'm usually okay with being stuck in the corner. So
Yeah, whatever. Your background's a lot better than my background, which is kind of washed out over here from all the bright, shiny sunlight. But anyway, we digress. So we left for the pipe show, bright and bushy-tailed, Thursday morning, so we could get there early because we were going to turn this into a sort of a family vacation as well as a let's go to the pipe show type event, which we did. The trip out there was actually pretty uneventful, other than the fact that we have to go through northeastern Arkansas to get to Nashville. And if you've ever driven through northeastern Arkansas, I would not recommend it. So we wound up getting into Nashville proper at about, I think it was 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And feel free to correct me on this if I'm getting any of this wrong, because it has been a week and I've slept since then.
no, that's about right.
So the first thing we decided to do was one of the on your list to do, which was to go to the Parthenon Museum. Now, the Parthenon is kind of cool. It's a replica of the authentic Parthenon in Greece, and inside apparently has a replica of the Athena statue from the original museum in Greece. And then on the middle level, there is also a fine art exhibit. Apparently, it's a single man's collection, and there's no way in the world I'm going to remember what his name is. But there was also an exhibit about the World's Fair that was held in Nashville in, what was that, 1896? I think it was.
I believe that's right.
So 1896, and it was all about the World's Fair, and it showed like all of the things they had built around where the Parthenon is. And apparently of the entire exhibition, the Parthenon is the only thing that still remains. So I think since this is broadcast live, when I actually get to releasing it, I'll probably like stick a few photos or something in here so we can all kind of see what the hell it is we're talking about. But anyway, the Parthenon was pretty cool. The Athena statue was bold, I'll say that. It was 41 feet high and in a room all by itself and all gilded with gold and gaudy face paint and impressive. So were the doors that led into the chamber. Big, heavy steel doors, probably 30 feet high. And you could kind of see how they opened and closed. I guess there are some of those amazing doors that they talk about that they're like so perfectly balanced you can push them with a finger kind of thing. You couldn't do that, of course, but that is what it is. So that was like, I mean, we rolled into Nashville after 7 hours, 8 hours on the road, straight to the museum, straight in. And that was kind of cool. So what did you think of that first pit stop on the way?
I loved it. Which we had been in Nashville before, driving through, and had lunch at P.F. Chang's, kind of. And I had seen the Parthenon then and said, I want to come back and go do that. So we got to go do it. And other than Athena being very, very bright because of the floodlights they had on her, it was a great experience. In the chamber with her, you needed sunglasses. So, but it was very cool to see.
Yeah, the chamber itself was kind of dark, though. I mean, we were having trouble taking taking pictures without flashes. But the statue itself was like super well lit. I mean, it kind of drowned out everything else. Like I said, if I get around to it, I'll throw some pictures up here so you can see what the hell we're talking about. What about the exhibit, like the art exhibit? There were a lot of like seascapes and landscapes and still lifes and stuff like that. There were a couple of pictures that were real standouts, and we've got some pictures of those. hopefully I'll be able to throw those in as well.
Yeah, I actually grabbed a brochure about them. So
You actually what?
grabbed a brochure about them.
Oh, right, yeah. And about the exhibition as well.
Right.
So that was the Parthenon, our first stop on the way. After the Parthenon, what the hell did we do after the Parthenon? It's already a blur.
We went downtown.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's why it was a blur, because the first thing we did after going to the Parthenon was head straight down to Lower Broadway, which is where all the juke joints and honky tonks and whatever it is they call them out there in Nashville. That's where all that stuff is. So we wandered around down there. Place was loaded up with people, just milling about, going into the different stores, going into the different music venues. They had horse-drawn carriages where you could get rides and stuff like that. We didn't do that, and each carriage had a dog, which is pretty funny. Just kind of watching the dogs. Like, some of them were bored, some of them were excited, some of them were asleep. But that was pretty fun. We wound up going to the Wildhorse Saloon, which I thought was older than it was. Apparently it opened in like 2001 or something like that. And it's not actually on Broadway. It's like on First, I think it was, or maybe Second Street, just west of Broadway. It's a huge juke joint. It probably seats 500 people. We went in there like before the show started, so we got to see a sound check from the band that was playing there that night. And then we had their barbecue, and the barbecue was quite good, very good, in fact. And they also had some kind of barbecue or like brisket nacho appetizer, which was also very good. So, and reasonably priced too, considering the fact that it's, right downtown Nashville. So if you get a chance to go down to the Wildhorse Saloon, I would recommend that. You can jump in any time, so feel free. I don't want to be the only one talking here.
You're doing a great job.
Okay. Well, if there's something I missed, but definitely jump in, or if you have your own impressions about these things. So by the time we got done with the Wildhorse, it was like we got there before dinner time, but by the time we left, it was after dinner time. At that point, we decided we probably needed to go check in at the hotel. So we left downtown, went to check in at the hotel. This is where our first adventure began. Some of you probably know about this first adventure, but anyway, we'll tell you the short version of it here. We get to the hotel, which we were staying at the Extended Stay America. Short version is we didn't have a room. As of the Monday before the pipe show, we had a room. When we get there, we don't have a room. We need a handicap room because, as many of you may know, Cheryl is in a wheelchair, and we have to have a handicap accessible room. So not only did they not have the room we were supposed to have, they just didn't have any room on the ground floor. So there was no way we could stay there. So after much screaming, calling of managers, gnashing of teeth, bad language, and things of that nature. Huh?
I didn't say a word.
You didn't say a word. I've got chainsaws and crap going on here, so it's all kinds of noise. So anyway, after all of that, we finally got the manager to say he was going to cover our room for the night. So I thought, well, if they're going to cover our room for the night, let's see if they can get us a room at the other hotel where everybody's staying, which was the Holiday Inn Express in Brentwood. That was the one that Angela had set up the group rate for and all that kind of stuff. So we called over there, or we made him call over there, and see if they could get us a room. And they could. They booked us a room. And the manager of the extended stay actually paid for our Thursday night stay. So far, things are, bad, but looking better. So, we actually met Brittany and Caleb there at the extended stay, and we chatted with them for a while we were dealing with our whole hotel problem. So once that was over with, we got our, confirmation over at the Holiday Inn Express. We went over there. We got in the room. We actually were in 3 rooms before we were actually in our room. They you say something that time?
No, just laughing still.
Okay. All right, sorry. So we get into a room. It's on the bottom floor. Like you have to take the elevator down to it. So we were kind of wondering. We get into the room. Sure enough, it's not a handicap accessible room. So here we go. Back up to the lobby. They give us another room. Well, it's a handicap accessible room, but it's not the room we asked for. Or that they said we could have, because there's two different kinds of handicap rooms. One has a tub, one has a shower. We wanted the shower one. They gave us the tub one. So back to the front. We finally get the one we want. Third time, is the charm, I guess. So we're finally in the room we need to be in. After it was funny on the trip on the elevator that last time, I'm getting off to go to the lobby, and Rachel is getting on the elevator because she and Nate just showed up, and neither one of us could remember. We knew who we were, but we couldn't remember each other's names. So it's like, hours later when we see each other again, it's like, oh yeah, that's who you were. But anyway, so hotel fiasco averted, and then the next day we talked to the manager of the Holiday Inn Express, because they were gonna the group rate for the hotel was going to be $100 a night. But the rate had gone up since to $150 a night plus tax, which makes it like $180 a night. So obviously we weren't expecting to pay that much. So we talked to the manager of the Holiday Inn Express, told him what the situation was, told him there was a group rate. We were staying in that group with all the people who were already there, and they honored the rate. So that was way longer than the short story version. But anyway, after all of the tomfoolery and screwing around, it came out where we basically paid the same to stay at the Holiday Inn Express as we would have paid at the extended stay. And let's face it, the Holiday Inn Express is a much nicer hotel. So all of that worked out well. Fantastic, no problems. The first thing we did on Friday was take a trip to Long Hollow Winery. I think I'm getting this right? Are you on Wi-Fi?
No, I'm actually on. Yeah, I'm on my hotspot. So.
Okay. Well, that's weird because you're kind of like broken up here, but I don't know. We will push on. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember the events of the day. So, yes, Friday, the first thing we did was went to the Long Hollow Winery, which was actually in Goodlettsville, which is just north of. I think that's the right name of it. I'm doing all of this from memory. No notes, no nothing. So, okay, good deal. So Goodlettsville, had a great time up there. We were only there for like a half hour, 45 minutes. But it's a great winery. They have some fantastic wines if you're into wines and all. And even if you're not really into wines, we actually got our first experience enjoying some dry wines, truly dry wines, because normally we don't think they're sweet enough and our palates don't really appreciate dry wines. But they had some excellent ones. We actually picked up a bottle of Riesling to take home with us, and a couple of monster wine glasses are like this big. Between the pair of them, you can pour an entire bottle, entire 750 into the wine glasses. So those are very cool. The lady there, if you could take a picture and subtitle it Nashville, this woman, the woman who ran the place, that was her. I mean, she looked kind of like Dolly Parton's less famous sister. It was very cool. She was very engaging. I would highly recommend, if anybody gets to go to Nashville, to check out the Long Hollow Winery. It was just fun, and I know you enjoyed that part of the trip quite a bit as well. You said that was like the favorite. We've done a few wineries. You said that was your favorite one by far.
Yes, definitely. The wine, I like the wines better than some of the other ones we've tried. The woman was an absolute delight to deal with. Very nice, very entertaining, but not overly rambunctious in any way. Well, yeah. We got to try a dozen different types of cheeses, Tennessee-made cheeses,
Yep.
and some jellies. They had a strawberry jelly made from their wine. They had a blackberry jelly or jam made from their wine, and then they had a honey pecan jelly, which we carted home with us, which was very tasty.
Yeah, that's very tasty. I'm not sure what we're going to put it on yet, though. It might be really good in cooking. I'm not sure how it is, like just on bread or something. Yeah, we'll find many uses for it, I'm sure. It's truly excellent. And I can't wait to crack open that bottle of Riesling because that was really good as well. And it was on the dry side, too, which we normally don't buy.
Right.
So, okay, after the Long Hollow Winery, then we decided, well, actually, we're like pushing like afternoon at this point because of the whole hotel thing and sleeping late and all that kind of stuff. So after that, we went to find a distillery in the outskirts of Nashville, which wasn't actually,
Oh, you missed a stop.
I missed a stop. Holy crap. See, this is why you're here. What did I miss?
We went from the Long Hollow Winery to Loveless Cafe.
Oh, that's right. How could I forget Loveless Cafe?
Sure.
I don't know. Loveless Cafe is about 15 miles southwest of Nashville proper. It is, I never got that it was part of the Loveless thing, like Patty Loveless, the Loveless family. Is it hers? Is it theirs?
I don't think it's theirs from what I read on the About Us page. I gathered that it was like a roadside hotel, that had the little cabins from like the 50s and 60s and stuff. And after interstates were built, they kind of got ignored, and they had a cafe while their hotel days were there. But they decided everybody still came to the cafe. They just didn't stay in the hotel rooms. So they tried to kind of incorporate all of it together into one big, huge cafe experience. So they turned the hotel rooms and stuff into gift shops and stuff.
Right. Yeah, so it's almost like its own little village out there. There's a museum, there's a gift shop, there's a bunch of little mercantiles, and then there's the cafe itself, which really is tiny. I mean, it probably only seats 100 or 120 people. But it was slammed when we got there. It was slammed when we left. Our wait was about 45 minutes. The whole thing was recommended to us by a friend who has been to Nashville many times. Said we had to go there, so we went there. I'd say the highlight for me, as far as, it's just a cafe. It's pretty typical. It looked like lots of cafes you've seen. The food is excellent, home-cooked food. If we had been there with a group of 4 or more, they do family-style cooking, where you get unlimited portions of different things like that. But of course, it was just the 2 of us, so we didn't get to do that. But the highlight for me, food-wise, were the biscuits. Man, those biscuits were freaking amazing. And I've eaten many a biscuit. And I didn't even have, it wasn't like biscuits and gravy or anything like that, although you certainly could do that if you wanted to. But it was just, these fluffy, amazing biscuits with a little butter and a little jam. Truly unbelievable. Now, you got the glazed pork chops, which those were
pork chops.
Right. Those were freaking amazing, too. Those were truly amazing. I decided to go. I was debating whether or not to spend extra money and get the sampler platter, because they had you could get catfish and pulled pork and a whole mess of different crap, or between their steak sliders, which came on the biscuits. So I was like, well, I'm really loving these biscuits. Maybe I should try the steak sliders. Well, so I went with the sliders. I was disappointed with those. They really needed something else. They were just a piece of steak on the biscuit. They really needed, I don't know, something. I really should have gone with the sampler platter, which I didn't, so I was disappointed with that, but that's my fault, not their fault. Their food, overall, truly great. And not that expensive either. I think, did we get some souvenirs from the Loveless? Yeah, we did.
Book.
That's right, we got the cookbook. They had recipes and stuff like that. We didn't wind up with glasses or anything like that. Usually when we go to places, we'll pick up a shot glass or a wine glass or something like that. We did at the Wildhorse. We did at the Parthenon, excuse me. And we didn't at the Loveless. Not really sure why. We just didn't. Probably because we're stocking up as it is.
I think that point, and you didn't like what they had. So
Yeah, their gift shop was kind of weird. It was kind of one of those cheesy gift shops where they have stuff for kids. It wasn't really stuff about the Loveless Cafe. So I really wasn't interested. And I forgot the fact that when we were downtown on Friday, that like as we were walking to the Wildhorse, I swerved into the Hard Rock Cafe because we collect Hard Rock Cafe glasses as well, and snagged one of their glasses on the way through. So just so we could say we'd been there.
and a magnet.
Oh, and the magnet too. That's right. Fridge magnets and shot glasses. That's our thing. We used to collect the hurricane glasses, from Hard Rock Cafe, but we ran out of room for those, so we switched to shot glasses. A lot more convenient.
Another stop we made on Thursday night was the Savannah Candy Company.
Yeah, that's right. See, there's so much stuff we're forgetting, and this video is going to take frickin' forever.
So stop talking.
Yeah, I know. We wound up getting some taffy down there and nothing else because I really wasn't interested in a bunch of candy, but it was a huge store down on Broadway. So that was that. So back to Loveless Cafe. Okay, so Loveless Cafe done. If you want to check it out, fine. Go for it. Do it. So then, after Loveless Cafe, we went to Marathon Village. We were actually looking for a distillery that apparently had not exactly closed, but they were closed at the moment. So we couldn't do that. So instead we went to Marathon Village because down there were two things we wanted to see. One was another distillery called the Corsair Distillery. And I did see someone else at the pipe show wandering around with a Corsair mug or glass or something. So someone else at the pipe show had been to the Corsair as well. So we went there first. We waited around for their tour. We didn't know it was a paid tour at the beginning, but we just said, okay, we'll sign up for the tour. We were actually on a waiting list. We didn't think we were going to get on the tour. Turns out either a bunch of people didn't show up or they just felt sorry for us. We got on the tour. They took us around to a back entrance into the tour because her wheelchair wouldn't go in like the usual way they take people through. Well, it turns out that the handicap way, they have a refrigerator in a doorway in such a way that she couldn't get her wheelchair between the doorway and the refrigerator either. So we wound up not being able to do the tour, but they have a tasting room that you go to at the end of the tour. So we hung out in the tasting room while everybody else was doing the tour thing. And we were talking to the bartender. She was very nice. She talked about their spirits, and they have lots of different spirits. They do vodka, rum, gin, whiskey, different kinds of whiskey. There may have been something else that I'm forgetting. So we ordered a couple of cocktails, some very good cocktails that were made with their spirits. And then the tour was over. We got to do the tasting that you normally do at the end. And because we weren't actually able to go on the tour, they comped us the cocktails that we ordered. So that was cool. That sort of made up for the difference in what it would have paid, for the tour. We wound up buying, they had a little premium thing where if you paid the tour price plus $2, you got a free glass. So each of us got a glass. We got one, not a brandy snifter, but a little whiskey glass, bourbon glass, whatever the hell you want to call it, and a shot glass, which are cool. The photo, the little three guys walking logo that they've got at the Corsair is pretty cool. That's how I recognized the other person at the show who had it. And we were thinking about buying some of their spirits. They had a triple smoked American whiskey, which tasted very much like a pretty decent scotch. But when we went to purchase it, it was going to be $50 a fifth. At which point I said, no, I'm just going to go buy some scotch. I'm glad these people are proud of their whiskey, and I'm sure it is good. I mean, I'll give it that. It's not $50 good. I'll just tell you that right now. So if you want to do the tour, fine. And their cocktails are pretty good. Maybe get some of their recipes, steal them from them if you can. But I'd stay away from buying the bottled stuff. Excuse me while I drink some bourbon of my own here.
While we were at Marathon, so went to Antique Archaeologists and wandered around their little shop.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with antique archaeology, It's the store that was made famous by the two guys who are on the, I think it's Discovery show or A&E show, whatever it is, American Pickers. They have their main store in Iowa, but they're opening up other stores, and one of them happens to be in Nashville. So we went and checked it out. There's a lot of cool stuff in there if you're into that kind of, antique-y thing. Anything you wanted to buy was very, very expensive, as you probably could have guessed if you've ever seen the show. And most of the stuff wasn't actually for sale. And I will say for this, for the gentleman who was working there, he was not very accommodating, because basically we were wandering around. The clock ticked over to 6 o'clock, and he started shutting the metal gate and standing in the doorway like, can you, get the hell out of my shop, because apparently I have some drinking to do or something. So other than the, quasi-rude employees, the antique archaeology was pretty cool. They had I think the highlight for me was the motorcycle that was there, that was used to set the land speed record back in, when was that? 60s?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, a long time ago. It was a twin 3-cylinder engine drag bike. Thing was pretty awesome looking. And dangerous as hell looking, actually. So that was pretty cool. And by the time we got done with antique archaeology, they closed at, I think, 6 or 6:30, whatever it was. So we left there. And now here's where you're gonna have to fill me in. What did we do after that?
Is that not when we went? Yeah, that was when we went back downtown and went over the pedestrian bridge.
Oh, that's right. The bridge that I can't remember the name of. It's actually called
It's like the John Siegenthaler or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. The John Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge. It's also called like the Sherlock Street Bridge or something like that too. Now I can't remember. Apparently, it was an automobile bridge that was decommissioned to turn into a pedestrian bridge. It goes over the and I could have told you the name of the river, except I've forgotten. What the hell is the river? It's not the
Cumberland.
The Cumberland. That's it. The Cumberland River. Right there on the north side of Nashville. So we walked over that. It was very cool. It's lit up at night, and of course, once you're out over the middle of the river, you have an amazing view of the Nashville skyline and the area around Broadway, like First Street and Broadway, to DeMonbruin. And by the way, make sure if you're ever in Nashville and you see that street, make sure you call it DeMonbruin. Greg admonished us that if we didn't want to seem like tourists, we shouldn't call it Demonbruin, because that's what it looks like. So again, and there's lots of honky-tonks and stuff on that street, so if you're wandering around down there, you may actually encounter it. It's only like 2 blocks or 3 blocks east of Broadway. So remember, DeMonbruin, and don't believe your GPS, because it doesn't know how to pronounce it either. So yeah, that. And on the bridge, we got like millions of pictures of like downtown, the skyline, and all of that. And there were 3 wedding parties up there. It looked like there was one actual wedding going on that had just ended. And then there were 3 sets of parties taking photographs up there on the bridge. So it's a very popular touristy kind of walky kind of place. And it also leads, if you walk down the other side, all the way across the river, it dumps you into the parking lot for I can't remember the official name of it, but it's Tennessee Titans football stadium. So if you want to see that, that's there too.
The name of the bridge is the Shelby Street Bridge.
Shelby Street, that's it.
Or the John Siegenthaler.
Right, John Siegenthaler. That's funny, you can't remember Shelby, but you can remember Siegenthaler. Okay.
I looked it up. We also went to the Goo Goo Cluster store right before we went over the bridge.
That's right. God, we're missing everything. Yeah, that was another thing we walked into right before they closed. It was like 2 minutes to 6 or whatever it was, or 2 minutes to 7 when we got there. Walked in, because apparently the Goo Goo Clusters are made right there in Nashville. They have like I don't want to call it an outlet store, but it's like, their storefront, right there next to the John Siegenthaler Bridge. So we wandered in there, got some Goo Goo Clusters, And this guy didn't actually kick us out. He was more than willing to wait the 5 minutes for us to figure out what we wanted and then throw us out. We got our obligatory shot glass and a cool fridge magnet down there. It's actually in the shape of a bottle cap. And if you take it off the fridge and turn it around, it has a twist, like a twist cap aid, and a regular pop top bottle opener on it, which was very cool. And since all of these magnets and glasses and everything wind up in our home bar, that's a cool thing, because I'll probably be opening any bottles I ever open with that from now on. So that was cool too. The bridge was amazing. And by this time, you know, it was dark, because we were on the bridge after probably 8 or 8:30. And I think we were about burned out at that point, so we decided to go back to the room, if I'm not mistaken. Did we even eat dinner?
We did not eat dinner. We went to is that the night that it was at Stogie's?
Yeah, Stogie's had a pre-party, which we didn't actually go to the pre-party at Stogie's. That was going on. We went back to the hotel, I guess. We did not eat. I went to Stogie's sort of after the party, but that wasn't until like 11.
No. You've got your dates and times all mixed up. Thursday night, you went to Stogie's.
Oh, that's right. Thursday night was Stogie's. Right. That was the...
And I stayed at the hotel room because I was upset over the whole hotel issue.
Hotel fiasco.
Friday night, we went from downtown straight to Stogie's, stopping at Sonic to get me a drink on the way. I sat in the car. Boontar came up to the door and said, "Nope, you're getting out. I'm going to unload your wheelchair." And you came and finished unloading my wheelchair.
Right.
And that's the crowd.
Right. So that's right. We spent probably a good couple hours at Stogie's wandering around talking to everyone who was there. And believe me, everyone was there. This is one of those places where I would love to name names, but I don't really want to, because you're going to leave somebody out. Somebody's going to get pissed because they didn't get named. So if we met you there, you know who you are. So that got done around 11 or midnight or something like that. Everybody was finally wandering away from there. We decided, I guess it must have been about time to go to sleep. So we did that, got up first thing the next morning, and headed to the actual pipe show. Wow, I don't know how long this video already is, but now we're to the pipe show. So we get to the pipe show like right after they opened up. I think it was like 10:05 when we showed up. We wandered in. The way it was set up, you'd see the first thing you came to was the pipes, the pipe makers, the artisans. So that was the first thing I did. I passed by the Drew Estate stand up at the front there at first, and just went and started looking at the pipes. Now, I did want to show this here, because on my last video I didn't have this, so hopefully you'll pick this up. For anybody who's seen my last video, this is the card for split beard pipes. This is where I got my pipe. Many of you probably have already heard of these guys before, but I just wanted to put it out there. This is the pipe I got. Oh, there's the card right there, and here is the pipe. So most of you have probably, well, maybe I should do it this way. There we go. There's the pipe. So you've probably all seen this anyway. But so I went around the table like 3 times, checked out every pipe maker. I have a card here. You can see my full deck of cards from every single pipe maker who was there. I checked out every pipe many times. There were lots of fabulous pipes there. 99.6% of them were too expensive for me to buy. I mean, it's just flat out too expensive. The median price there, I would guess, was $300, and most of them went up from there. Split beard had pipes as low as 50, and most of them were in the 120 to 150 range. So that's what I went with, because I could afford it. Plus, it's a pretty spectacular looking pipe. So there you go. After wandering around there, we went over to the other side We did our little thing where we got our cards stamped for the drawings. Listened to some music. I got to sample some Angel's Envy bourbon. And just kind of hung out with the folks who were wandering around, get some pictures, talk. Oh, look, puppy. So I did that. I went into the church, and I'm a little disappointed about this because I went into the church, and there were some craftspeople in there. One of them was Andrew Lee, and I did talk with him, and talk to him about some of his leather craft and stuff like that. But the rest of the interior looked really sparse, so I didn't kind of stick around because I didn't really know what the deal was, and I'm not the kind of inquisitive person to just kind of run around and find out what's up. I didn't find out until after the show that one of the people in there was the guy known as Old Soul on Instagram. I'm very disappointed that I didn't know he was in there because I love his artwork, and I definitely would have checked him out if I had known he was there. So kind of disappointed about that, but it is what it is. I can look at his stuff on Instagram, I guess. So we kind of got tired of the pipe show pretty early. I was a little concerned about the drawing because they were going to do the drawings around 3:30, 4 o'clock. No one was really sure when, so I stopped by the Drew Estate booth, and Sam Smirkle was there. He's the Drew Estate rep who was working the pipe show. That's his card there. And said, do you have to be here to win these drawings? And he's like, yeah, you have to be here. And I was like, well, we've got to run back to the hotel, but I can come back around when the drawing is. Can you let me know? He said, yeah, just, friend me on Facebook, send me a text. I'll let you know when they're going to, a half hour before they're going to do the drawings, and you can just show back up. And I was like, cool. So we're sitting in the hotel room, getting ready actually to go out the door because it's about 3:20, 3:15, something like that. And I get a Vox from Mark Macon saying, dude, you weren't here. They just called your name for the Drew Estate's grand prize, but you weren't here, so they just gave it to somebody else. And I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So I sat bummed in the hotel room for another 15 minutes, and then I was like, I looked at Cheryl, and I was like, all right, screw this. We're going to go down there and see what the hell is up, because Sam never texted me, nothing. So we get back down to the pipe show. I walk over to Sam, and I was like, hey, man, how's it going? No, he's like, oh, you're back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm back. What happened? You didn't tell me anything. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that, but you didn't win anyway. I was like, dude, yeah, I did. They pulled my name for the grand prize. What are you talking about? And he was, the look of shock on his face was priceless. So after, like, a moment of shell shock, he recovered. And he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't, I had no idea. They just kind of grabbed the raffle from me, and I didn't have a chance to, to get to it. But we're going to make this right. So right there and then, he reached down, and he had a bunch of sample tins of tobacco, Drew Estate tobacco. He gave me 16 or 18 tins of Drew Estate tobacco, and is going to be shipping me, well, he says he's going to be shipping me 2 boxes full of Drew Estate cigars to make up for his little snafu. Now, I emailed him. He told me to email him when I got home, and I did, and he hasn't answered me yet, so I don't want to be the kind of pesky person to bug him about this, but I'm going to, email him here again because it's been over a week and see if he's going to make good on that promise. But here's hoping. I mean, they've already, given me plenty, and, they didn't have to do that anyway, so I'm thankful that Drew Estate kind of stepped up to the plate there, and Sam in particular. But we'll see if they, decide to send me anything else. I'm sure you'll all find out shortly after I do. I know the pipe show wasn't really a thrill for you, so
No.
I tried to make it as brief as I could, my stay there. I mean, the music was fine. I think they felt obligated to do the music thing because it was Music City, Nashville. But I could have done without the music, or I could have done with it a lot quieter.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think the organization was nice. I think the fact that the pipe presenters and the artisans were on one side and the sort of get together, hang out, and stuff was on the other side. But I heard some bad things about the way they treated the local shops and stuff like that. And I don't want to speculate on whether any of that's true or not, but I think overall the pipe show was good. It probably could have been shorter, maybe as an event, or maybe longer with more stuff to do, as a participant. Maybe more displays or events or contests or karaoke or something. I don't know. It just seemed like it needed something. But overall, it seemed pretty well organized. I think the indoor artisans there in the church probably should have been better advertised, or at least put somewhere where it was obvious what was going on. But I know it takes a lot of effort to put together a show, and I think overall, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed being there, and just getting to see everyone was really the highlight for me. I mean, we saw everyone overall 3 days, well, 4 days, I guess, that we were there. So I said it in the video that was shot by Nate. That was just a highlight for me, getting to see everyone. And Sunday, let's see. No, Saturday's not over yet because Saturday's not even nearly over yet, actually. Because after the pipe show and after the whole thing with the raffle and all that stuff, we went to another place that was recommended to us for dinner called the Family Wash, which is a little tiny music cafe. Isn't everything in Nashville a little tiny music cafe? Just northeast of town, which was very cool. Their food was outstanding. Prices really reasonable. We didn't actually stay for the music. In fact, we wouldn't have been able to stay for the music because the place was already sold out when we got there. We just happened to walk in when they opened, so they gave us a table and we were able to sit down and eat. We had an appetizer of gorgonzola and cheddar baked kettle chips, which were unbelievable. Unbelievable to the point where you actually recreated them at home and apparently have a video that you're going to post on how to make them.
Sure.
Huh?
Sure, maybe.
Well, you told me you did the video, and I've already told Jay that you were going to post it up because he wants to know where it is because he's into the whole foodie thing, and I think you're going to find that there's a lot more people into that than you think.
Okay.
So we'll all be looking forward to your gorgonzola kettle chip video very soon, and I'll let everybody know where to find that once you post it. So, but other than that, again, just a tiny cafe, kind of, interesting crap thrown up on the walls and, that kind of thing. And I'm sure the music would have been outstanding if we had gotten a chance to see it, but we actually had to leave kind of quickly because after eating dinner, we were headed to the Grand Ole Opry. We had gotten tickets to see the Grand Ole Opry while we were there. We figure, it's a slice of Americana, and since we never really spent any time in Nashville before, what the hell? Let's go see the Grand Ole Opry, right? So we did that. We had 4th row, more or less center seats. It was really nice. We were right up close. I don't know how familiar any or all of you are with country music, but we got to see lots of Grand Ole Opry stars, most of them from a few decades ago. But it was still fun, and they still do it just like a radio show, just like it's always been. It's a live broadcast. So there's a crap ton of performers they squeeze into 2 hours. I think there was, 14 performers or something ridiculous like that in 2 hours?
Yeah.
The highlight for both of us were the two, of course, the big acts that they put at the end. Your favorite was?
Well, see, I have 2 favorites, though.
Okay.
I actually really like Steep Canyon Rangers.
Oh, yes. We both love Steep Canyon Rangers, and they were on actually pretty early. We got to see them a little while back perform with Steve Martin, but honestly, they don't need Steve Martin. I mean, They are so good at what they do.
The show with Steve Martin was good, and it was local to us. Yeah, and we saw them on August 3rd, I believe. And then when I was looking at the Opry and saw to be back at the Opry while we were there over the weekend. I was like, well, yes, we must go, you know.
Right.
But I love Ricky Skaggs. I love Ricky Skaggs bluegrass.
Right.
So, like, okay, bluegrass with Steep Canyon Rangers, Ricky Skaggs, I'm a Happy Camper, I must go. And then you like...
Yeah, I liked Ry Cooder. I've been a fan of Ry Cooder for a while, and I don't really listen to a lot of country and bluegrass type music, but I've always been a big fan of Ry Cooder, and he does one of my favorite pieces of music, which is just a little bit of incidental music in a film from 1987, I think, called Crossroads. There's a part towards the end of that movie, and if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it because it's a lot of fun. You have to kind of get over the fact that Ralph Macchio is in it. But other than that, it's a really good, fun movie. It's got a lot of good music in it. Seneca Brown, or Joe Seneca, who plays Willie Brown, amazing. And really near the end of that movie, there's a little bit of incidental music done to a great sort of photographic overlay of the Deep South called The Feelin' Bad Blues, and it's performed by Ry Cooder. It's actually one of my favorite pieces of blues music. So anyway, I've liked Ry Cooder for a long time. I liked his music, and so we got to see him there. We got to see little Jimmy Dickens, and a bunch of old stars, like I said, of the Grand Ole Opry. So, and we even got a souvenir program. And what's cool about the souvenir programs is each night that they do the show, they actually print it with the performers from that night. So you actually have like a playbill of the actual event, which was very cool.
We also got a Hatch Show print movie or show poster to hang up.
Yep.
All the entertainers listed on it. So.
Right. So I can't remember if we bought anything else at the Opry. Yeah, we bought a fridge magnet, of course. Fridge magnet from the Opry. Got to have that. Don't remember if they did shot glasses, but I don't think we got one.
No, we didn't.
All right, so finally, the Grand Ole Opry's over. And we still managed to squeeze in a quick trip over to the Abbey, Smokers Abbey, where they were doing the post-show. We completely missed the thing with Boontar. We completely missed the big reveal with Dagner Pipes and all of that. I got to talk with Jay and Jason afterwards, talked a little bit with Boontar and Skipsy and all that, sort of after effect of all of that. And so on and so forth, and just kind of hang around for a few minutes with the people. But we were there pretty late. We didn't get there until 10:30ish, I think, maybe even later than that, after the Opry. So we didn't really participate in the Smokers Abbey event, but I've seen plenty of video of it, so obviously it was a good time. So then, after that, crash again, get up first thing on Sunday. Go ahead.
We did not crash. We went back to the...
Oh, that's right. God, that was right. We stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the pipe circle outside in the hotel parking lot. Yeah, it's like the event that never ends. We did so much when we were there. Can't believe it. So yeah, so as if we didn't spend enough time meeting all of the various peoples at the various other events, we spent 3 hours in the hotel parking lot on Saturday in the pipe circle with all the people who were hanging out there. And there were many, many, many people there as well. Then, along about 3 o'clock in the morning, we finally get to sleep. Get up 9 o'clock-ish, I think. Something like that. It's all kind of a blur now. Decided to head out of town, and we went on the way out of town, we stopped for a moment at Uptowns. But when we got to Uptowns, there were only a few people who had already showed up there. AJ was there, Stash Warden, Nate and Rachel, Smoking Grandpa Bones, and only 1 or 2 other people I think that I even recognized. Oh, I think Huggy Bear was there, and his wife, and I think that was all I knew who were there. There were a few other people there, but apparently because of the events of the night before, most people weren't going to show up until about 1 in the afternoon, and we just couldn't hang out that long, so we decided to bail before everyone showed up, although I believe we saw Boontar's van pulling in as we left. So we just barely missed them, but we did have to get home. So left out in Nashville about 1 o'clock, 1:15, got home 7:30. We were back in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Pretty much uneventful trip. And that, I think, is that.
Yay.
Can't believe it took that long to tell. And I forgot half of the stuff going through. So anyway. I guess we should probably wrap this up as quick as we can. I want to thank everybody who made it through this long. If you did, kudos to you. If you didn't, I completely understand. But I did kind of want to relay our trip and, you know, say thank you to the guys who put on the various events, to the various stores for doing their pre and post parties and stuff like that. And you can say hi to my doggies, or at least one of my doggies.
Minna.
Yeah, Minna. Thank you to all the people we were able to meet, and all the artisans for being there, for showing off their wares and all that, and for making a great series of events and a great weekend for the both of us. And thank you, Nashville, for all of the stuff we did outside of the pipe show itself. I think we had a good time, and I know I, for one, will not soon forget it.
No, that's very true. I enjoyed the trip. I was a little worried about it in the beginning, but I'm glad I got to meet everybody that I got to meet. So, and now I can actually say that the videos I've been watching, I actually have met the person doing them. So.
Yep, and I've said it 100 times, but I'll say it 101 times. That was easily the coolest part, just getting to meet everybody. All right, so I think we're done here. Thanks, everybody, for staying tuned. If you did, if you didn't, I guess you don't get the thank you. Oh, well. We'll see you around next time, everybody. Take care.
Bye.